Chapter 7. Jenny. Jenny couldn't help staring at Graham as he tapped the pencil's eraser against his lips while deciding where to record his round. He was so unlike Carl, or any guy she had dated before, but maybe that was what she found intriguing. Though he did err on the nerdier side with his glasses and button-down shirts, he appeared completely comfortable in his skin, something she hadn't been in a long time. Plus, there was his whole relationship with God. She didn't understand it, but he definitely had a piece that she didn't, even though their stories were similar. He was so different from what she'd known for the last several years that she wanted to know all about him. "I think I'll take this as 3 of a kind," he finally said, writing the numbers down. "Did you and Jordan always get along?" she asked as he pushed the dice in her direction. A chuff and a slight shake of his head answered her question before his words did. "Not at all. He's older, so he was subjected to my father's drunken rages more than I was, and he remembered them more clearly. That kept us apart for a while, because he wanted nothing to do with our father, and I just wanted to know him. Plus, Jordan and I are about as different as can be. I'm punctual, and he's always late. I don't mind staying at home, and he thrives on danger. Oddly, though, it was the last act of Dad's that drove us together, the restaurant." "How long have you guys owned it?" Jenny asked as she shook the dice and let them fly across the table. Her eyes widened as she saw 4 6s land on the first roll. "Your luck is looking good tonight," Graham said with a smile. "We've had the restaurant up and running about a year, I guess. We take turns managing it, and we've had to bring in a 3rd shift manager for when Jordan and I can't be there." "That's amazing. It must be so nice to feel accomplished with something like that." She rolled the lone die once, and then again, sighing when it ended up a 1. "Guess my luck isn't that good yet." "Can I ask you something?" The tone in Graham's voice told her it would be a serious question, and one she probably didn't want to answer. But she found she wouldn't mind telling him the answer to anything he asked. "Sure, go ahead." "You seem so strong. How did you end up letting a man run your life for so long?" He rolled his dice and marked a full house, not bothering to try and roll again. Jenny had known this question would come sooner or later. It was the same one she asked herself as well. "I wish I had a good answer for you, but I really don't. When my mom died, my father turned to drinking and he became verbally abusive. I lived with that for 5 years until I was old enough to move out. I didn't think it had affected me, but that stuff sticks with you." She shook her head and let the dice fly. 2s. Great. "I took a job waitressing because I thought I'd be amazing, but I had no work ethic. After getting fired, I lost my house and ended up on the streets. That's when you know you've hit rock bottom." She picked up the 2 dice that weren't 2s and threw them again. 1 more dice landed with a 2 face up. 1 more roll. She picked up the last die, but paused before throwing it. "Carl found me on the streets. He was so nice when I first met him. He took me in and provided for me. It had been so long since anyone had done that I suppose I let myself get lured in. But then he began to change slowly. He stopped taking me places and no longer brought home gifts. If I tried to leave, he would tell me how dangerous it was on the streets and how horrible I was being by rejecting his kindness. It wasn't like I had family or friends out there for me, so it just got easier to stay inside." Graham sighed and ran a hand across his jaw. "I'm sorry. This lockdown must be hard for you then." Jenny offered a small smile and shook her head. "It's different. You're so much nicer than Carl ever was, and I know this really is for my safety." She tossed the last die and watched as it teetered on an edge before landing with a 2 face up. "Yahtzee! Maybe my luck is changing after all." "I know mine is." Graham's voice was so soft that Jenny wasn't sure she hadn't imagined it. But when she glanced up, his eyes were locked on hers and she could feel the intensity. Graham, I'm so broken. Ginny let the words hang in the air, unsure of how to finish them. We're all broken, Ginny, but you don't have to stay that way. His hand covered hers. God can heal those wounds. Ginny looked down at his hand on top of hers. How long had it been since a man had touched her in that way, with kindness, gentleness, and empathy? I don't know if I believe in God. I can help you with that. She bit her lip as she considered his words. Was God what made him different? What made him able to see the positive through so much pain? Maybe I'll let you, but right now it's your final roll. Let's see if you can beat me.